overcoming fear and sharing Jesus. I'll always remember the day that I asked my future father-in-law for his daughter's hand in marriage. I was a hot mess. I was filled with nerves and anxiety, and I remember being in his living room with him, just the two of us. And in my mind, I was just running through all the things that could go wrong when I asked for his daughter's hand. Like, what if I say something incorrectly? He's going to think I'm so stupid. I'm like, whoa, what if he says no? And I remember just being crippled by the fear. But it was in that moment that I took a breath, and I thought about, spoiler alert, my future wife. And I thought about our relationship, and I thought about our love. And in that moment, the fear that I was experiencing began to fade away. And all of a sudden I found that I was free to share and speak openly about my relationship with her. And I was able to do what I needed to do, and the rest is history. And I thought about that day in light of sharing the gospel. Because I think when we think about evangelization, and we talk about sharing Jesus with others, we can be filled with some of that same anxiety and fear. What if I say the wrong thing? Like, what if I offend someone? What if they think I'm judging them? What if they reject me? Like, what if they reject Jesus? It can be pretty daunting when we think about sharing the gospel with others. But I think if we make a similar shift that I made that day with my father-in-law, overcoming our fear and sharing Jesus can be pretty simple. If we just focus more on Jesus and the fear, then pretty soon it becomes more about sharing our witness and our personal story with a very personal God, and less about articulating things correctly and what may or may not happen after we share the gospel. But the question then becomes, well, how do we do this? How do we get from focusing on the fear to focusing on Jesus? And I think there's 3 simple steps that we can follow. First is we pray. When we pray, it gives us the opportunity to not only cultivate our own relationship with Jesus, but it gives us a moment to ask for courage so that when we share the gospel with others, we can be confident that God is near. And so we pray. Secondly, I would suggest that we have a witness ready, that we have a moment, a story where we can just share with someone a time when Jesus was very alive and active in our lives. People can question church teaching and they can comment on doctrine, but when it comes to our personal story and experience, they can't say much. And it can be a great testimony to the love and light that we've experienced through Jesus Christ. And so we pray, and we know a simple story of when Jesus was alive in our life. And lastly, we love. We're just going to love people. St. John says in his first letter that love casts out all fear. And what we do or what we say is going to be driven and motivated by love. And that can make all the difference. St. Augustine said it best when he said that one loving heart sets another on fire. So these 3 steps have helped me overcome my fear in sharing the gospel, and I hope that it helps you as well. But please leave a comment below and share tips and advice on ways that you've found that are helpful in overcoming your fears and sharing the gospel with others. God bless.